Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's up, gang? Welcome to another edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. What's up? Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis with you for the next couple hours. And we have no Winnipeg Blue Bomber practice today. And as of right now, going to air, we have no Dylan Samberg contract extension. So that will certainly add lots to the chat today. But we will talk to Ken Wiebe about what he's hearing on the latest with Dylan Samberg. Got one more sleep till they got to figure it out. Or the worst case scenario happens, and that is an arbitration hearing actually goes ahead tomorrow. I still don't think that happens. I am confident, as I think most are, that something will get done before then. But I think for every Jet fan's nerves, it would be nice to get some conclusion to this sooner as opposed to later. Unfortunately, gang, it's not up to us. I know Boba Jet said, smash the like button if you want Slamberg on a long-term deal. So I endorse this message. Everyone with us, hit that thumbs up button to support a long-term deal for Dylan Samberg. And, of course, your boys here at Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. We do have Blue Jays action today. They got smoked last night to kick off their series in Baltimore. They are doing a double dip today. Early game going on right now. 4-3 Orioles in the top of the fifth. Jays batting. And then they're back at it tonight. So a big day for baseball. Of course, the baseball trade deadline coming up also in 48 hours. That'll be something we'll be monitoring over the next couple days. We'll have to lean on Josh Goldberg to get his thoughts. Maybe we'll do that on Thursday as the dust settles on the deadline. But we have lots of Bomber talk coming up. And, of course, we've got a brand new edition of CFL 110 immediately following WST today. So make sure to hang around for that. We will get to our horse picks a little later on. We'll get to the Coolbet lines. We'll be following this Jays game this afternoon. And we'll be all over the latest on the Bombers. We'll get Paul LaPolice's thoughts on what is up with the blue and gold. We'll also talk to him about his new gig as the head coach of Canada's flag football team. Looking forward to having Lapo on, John and Ken Wiebe, of course. And then in the second hour of the program, it has been a minute since we've had John Horn on. But what a great week to do it. Toronto and Montreal hosting the best in the world on the men's and women's sides. Jeannie Bouchard with her first win on Canadian soil in a retirement tourney last night since 2016. So we'll talk about that. Leylah Fernandez winning on the weekend. Be a fun little Canadian tennis chat at the end of the program as well before we get into the Coolbet lines and our picks for tonight at the Downs. Big thanks to all the sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at Coolbet Canada, who also support CFL 110 following the show today. Princess Auto, Manitoba Battery, St. Vital Dental Center, Canadian Club, and Rollies Transfer. Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, F Apparel, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, the Gold Eyes, Assiniboia Downs, Breezy Bend, hosting this year's Manitoba Open. We'll get to a why not question of the day for Not AutoCorp at Waverly and McGillivray, and fan feedback for fansfirst.ca. Michael Remis, what is up?
Just counting down here till this Samberg arbitration. We're trying to plan shows this week. I was told this was going to be easy, that it was going to get done quickly, Huss. Starting to get worried. I see T. Will in chat. He's asking everyone, are we still not worried? I think it's easy to say, hey, this is going to get done. They'll figure this out. But we're, less than 24 hours away from the A word, arbitration? Never would have thought this could happen. Seemed like he was a shoo-in to be a long-term Jet. I think that's still possible. I don't know what's going on. Like, how do negotiations work? Do they just make the offer and you just sit on it for a while? Are they actively sitting at a boardroom table right now, literally hammering out numbers?
A lot of texting. Is
there texting?
What about this?
Is he in Winnipeg?
We do this for one more year? We get one more year if we do this?
Man, sometimes texting, it takes forever. Like, I'm texting my wife about, groceries. I'm at Costco. Like, do you want this? Do you want this? You got to get on the phone. Get it done quicker. Why is this? We know what it should be. Why is this taking so long, Huss? Maybe Ken's got the answers. Ken's coming up.
Well, I mean, listen, I think that listen, the Dylan Samberg camp, despite having probably a real uphill battle when it comes to an arbitration hearing, has the one hammer that he is 1 year away from unrestricted free agency. And I think it's been well documented here on this program and in Winnipeg Jets circles of what a stud this young man is and how important he is to the team. So listen, if I'm Dylan Samberg's agent right now, I mean, I am maybe not necessarily playing hardball, but certainly pushing for, if we're going to be giving up a number of unrestricted years of Samberg's career, trying to get to a number that makes sense for him to do exactly that. And I think you can make the argument that with his role in this club, if he did play out this year, presuming everything went on the path that his career has so far, that there'd be plenty of interest around the league for a player of his skill, his quality, his size, and there's real value to that. So I still don't foresee this going to arbitration, and I will not move off what I said yesterday. If it does go to arbitration and this ends in an award of whatever it is, like the amount that he gets for this one season is completely insignificant and frankly not important. It is the term of the contract. And, having to deal with the potential loss of Samberg at the end of next year, I think would really change things significantly for the Jets when it comes to their blue line, their plan moving forward. This is a guy they have to secure and, have locked in for a number of years. And sometimes that's easier said than done, especially with the metrics and the point totals that he maybe does, the point metrics that he does have, the points that he doesn't, to find that spot. But until we hear a report saying that this has gone sideways or something, I like to believe that this is all part of the process. And yes, I am still confident that at some point we'll hear from Kevin Cheveldayoff that'll talk about the back and forth nature of the negotiation, but we got to a place that we're happy with, and Dylan's going to have a long-term home here in Winnipeg. That's the end goal for the Winnipeg Jets, and they got to find a way to make that happen.
You're saying you're feeling confident that it gets done. The clock is ticking here, Huss. It's like holding a stock, and you're saying, hold, don't sell, and you're watching it go down. I don't think we're quite there, but you think the Jets would want to have a guy like Dylan Samberg part of the team for the long term, and let's say that does go to arbitration and he does sign a 1 year, you'd have to wait until January to be able to sign him to an extension. And at that point, if you're Samberg, you're like, well, I'm 6 months now from UFA or July 1. Why don't I just wait and do what Ehlers did? As the closer you get, you might as well just keep waiting and see what money the cap's going up. Teams have more money. That also means the Jets have more money too. So that's why you saw so many players stay with their own teams. So, well, I guess we're holding our breath here until tomorrow. The hearings start in the morning, and I thought we would have something today or something yesterday. But sure, Wednesday's perfect for the show. We have all the lead up. We have the lead up Monday, Tuesday. And then Wednesday, we'll get the deal at some point, hopefully around 1 o'clock. And then we can talk about it, the deal Thursday, Friday. So maybe the Jets are just helping us out. They did win the award for best social media work for a reason. And maybe this is just part of that.
Hey, listen, maybe it's done and they're just getting ready to announce it through their award-winning social media team. I mean, hey, listen, if you're going to defend a title, you got to come out strong to begin that defense. And listen, Samberg, between his play on the ice, his playful interviews with their social media team, not to mention the all-time greatest TikTok put out by a partner of a Winnipeg Jet that included him in one of the wildest twerk positions of all time. I mean, there's a lot of material to work with this, so maybe they're all just putting it together and waiting when to announce it properly. I don't know. What I do know is that they got to figure it out. And listen, T. Will said, Huss, maybe you're not imagining hard enough. I mean, I guess if you really want to imagine and spend a lot of time focusing on the worst possible case scenario, you can do that. I personally don't live my life that way, but I will point at history. Now, into the 15th year that the Jets have been back, there's two guys that have been to arbitration, and we knew it was happening. Jacob Trouba wanted out. The Jets weren't ready to trade him at that point, so it went to arbitration. They got clarity. Trouba wasn't going to sign an extension with the Winnipeg Jets, so they went there. They met in the middle, and then we know how that ended up. He ended up getting traded in the final year to the New York Rangers. And as far as the other one was Andrew Kopp. And Andrew Kopp wanted to sign a long-term deal here. They had tough decisions to make and ended up signing everybody else, and he was the odd man out and ended up going to arbitration. He got a 2-year deal. He spoke about how ugly the entire process was and how he wishes it wouldn't have got that way, and I'm sure the team felt the same way. And then he ended up signing as a free agent with the Detroit Red Wings. So if everything that we have been told, Samberg loves it here, wants to be here long term, we know the feeling is mutual, there's no way or no reason it should get to that point. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. So I am not coming off my still optimistic thoughts on a longer term deal like that probably is 6 or more years. But I will say the people that were on the ledge yesterday, I don't think are have come off of it during another 24 hours of waiting for some news on Dylan Samberg.
No, sitting here refreshing. It's tough when all the insiders are, at the cottage. Elliot Friedman's been busy. He chimed in yesterday with the report on the numbers, with the Samberg asking for $6 million on a 1-year deal in arbitration, and the Jets countering with 2.5. So we will wait and see. I'm just here refreshing Elliot, the Jets Twitter, anything for a nugget of news. But it's Samberg watch. Not quite up there with other watches like Trotz watch or Dubois drama. But if this gets to arbitration, I think it's going up the WST power poll of watches.
If it gets to arbitration and this ends up with Samberg on a 1-year arbitrated deal, then all of a sudden we start Samberg watch. It's like, okay, what happens with Dylan Samberg? That literally becomes one of the biggest stories of the year. I mean, Kyle Connor goes without saying. They got to figure that out. You don't want to have that as a black cloud hanging over the club throughout the season. But Dylan Samberg's importance to the Winnipeg Jets, well, maybe not at the level of Kyle Connor based on what Connor's done coming off a career season and nearly 100 points. Dylan Samberg's the record when he's in the lineup speaks for itself. I know Connor keeps throwing that in the chat, but it is what it is. 45, 12, and 2. So sometimes it's not all about points. I'm sure that is what some of the back and forth is going. And listen, we have no idea whether they're $2 million apart or 2 or 3 years of AAV apart, or literally they're just dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and getting grinded for a couple more teams on a no-trade list or something like that. We don't know. We will hit Ken Wiebe with all of that when he joins us a little later on. It did, this delay in getting it done did give Ken an opportunity for a very rare opinion piece in the Winnipeg Jets, in the Winnipeg Free Press, I should say, just talking about the back and forth and the nature of this. And he'll, of course, join us in person later on today.
Yeah, a couple comments here from the chat. Derek Schmidt says we should call it the Samberg situation. What a situation it is right now. And Reg Dunlop says, I want the drama. I want a 10-hour hearing this time. Break the 8-hour one Cop had. Crazy. And I think that would change the Jets. We were so focused on, okay, what's the to-do list? We had Ehlers. Then you had the RFAs, Barron, then Velarde, and now Samberg, and then Kyle Connor's the UFA. I imagine they'll be working on that, but can't get this one done long term. What does it mean for Kyle Connor? What does it mean for the defense going forward? We thought this was going to be the easy one to get done. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
Rain in chat. One thing I wonder though is maybe the Jets are fine with 1 year hope to get him extended in January so that they have enough cap space to potentially make more moves, more years, higher AAV. I mean, listen, if he wants to sign long-term right now, you get it done now. I mean, you just simply don't take the chance of things changing. And listen, I think it's the same thing from the Samberg side of things. I mean, like, what happens if you have a terrible career-ending injury or something like that? Like, saying no to 40 or 50 sheets is not easy. And then there's one other one here. Boba Jet, a UFA Samberg who still wants to sign with Winnipeg, not a big deal. I guess my point is, if he wants to sign here long-term, he doesn't become a pending UFA. It gets done right now. I expect that to happen. Ken will join us a little bit later on to get the latest on all of that. Remo, have you been outside today?
I had to take my kids to their summer camps, and yes, I did go outside, and I noticed bit smoky today. Air quality.
It's been a bit
great.
smoky for a month here. Is this any different today than any other day that we've had? I didn't notice that personally.
Yes, it was noticeably different. This weekend was totally fine. I was outside and everything. Today, you could tell I'm looking at the weather.gc.ca. They've got the air quality at a 10 plus rating, very high risk, noticeably worse than the last couple days. Should calm down. By Wednesday night, it'll go down to a 6, moderate risk. So
the reason I bring that up is that the Bombers aren't practicing today. And listen, this is a team that needs a lot of practice. It needs, I think, a lot of video work. It just needs a lot of things right now. I was wondering whether there might be more to this rather than it was just not the smoke. Of course, let's just reverse to a week ago when Zach Collaros left that game. The Bomber podcast, of which Zach is now essentially a co-host, is recorded on Monday. And we got the podcast. Zach was on. And the first thing they did was sort of address how he was feeling. They said it was precautionary. And, we knew that he was good to go for this week. I don't think it was lost on many that podcast was not recorded this week, which means Zach Collaros did not speak and has not spoken during the last day or so. And it still creates a very large question mark as to what is the status of Mr. Collaros going into the rematch of the Bombers on Friday night at Princess Auto Stadium.
Yeah, I definitely noticed yesterday they didn't do the handled internally podcast. What does that mean for Zach? Maybe, they haven't really said anything about his injury. Maybe it would be best for him to, do a Davis Alexander and let it heal completely so you're not playing half games every couple weeks here. Let Streveler get the first team reps, but they didn't practice today. We don't know. I was kind of surprised. Thought they had an indoor facility that they could practice at, run around a bit, but they opted not to. And you hope, they can solve the Argos, because I had Grey Cup deja vu watching that game on Saturday with the turnovers, with the Collaros injury, with Nick Arbuckle. I don't think they hand out MOP for regular season games, Huss, but Nick Arbuckle was the Grey Cup MOP back in November. So the coaching staff, I'm sure, are going over the tape, the film, and will review. And you hope they can be ready here to take down the Argos and snap this 3-game losing streak.
Now, okay, I guess I'll give you were right. I mean, it was 10 plus earlier. It's 7 now. And anyway, considering the situation as the Bombers are in, I would have thought that they would have done anything they could to get on the practice field today. And maybe that's like they've done with games, push it back to the afternoon to some better conditions. We'll probably never know, or maybe we will at some point this week. But the bottom line, Remis, is that's one less day of practice to get this right before a rematch against the Argonauts on Friday. And based on what we've seen the last 3 weeks, but especially on Saturday in Toronto, the Bombers have so much work to do to get back to where fans may be spoiled over the last few years, but that is the way it is, everywhere close to that standard of Winnipeg Blue Bomber Mike O'Shea team football.
Yeah, and it's talked about it yesterday with Ed. There's just so many areas where they haven't been good, and they'll tell you that. The offense can't, string together drives. The defense can't get off the field. They're turning the ball over. They're taking penalties. The quarterbacks, getting sacked and getting injured weeks in a row. It's tough, and you're playing an Argos team that, while they only had one win coming into last game, you knew they were better than that. They were the Grey Cup champions the year before, so we'll see what happens on Friday. But it's certainly a big one to keep pace here in the West, where it looks like Calgary and Saskatchewan are pulling away. Calgary 2 games up at 5-2, and Saskatchewan, they're on top at 6-1. And those games, the Labor Day Classic and Banjo Bowl, going to be huge for the Bombers to make up some ground. They're going to be tough to win one or even both of those.
Yeah, we'll. I know we have some more. We'll be talking Bombers right away, and we'll see what Lapo's got to say about what he's seen from Winnipeg. Because again, these aren't just really these are not tight losses. These are not the losses they had at the beginning of last season. These games haven't really been close. Any of the last 3 after the 3-0 start. So we'll see where the Bombers go from there in a fun chat with Paul LaPolice as well coming up. Remo, did you know that Paul LaPolice is the head coach of Canada's flag football outfit?
Yeah, I saw he tweeted that. Pat McAfee gave him a big shout out when Canada beat the U.S. and flag football, a lot of buzz about it coming to the Olympics in Los Angeles. Not next year, but 2028. So looking forward to seeing that. The Olympics, this was this time last year. There was so much buzz going around, and I'm kind of missing it. It was captured everyone's imagination, everyone's attention. Last year, we don't have it this year, but yes, Lapo, coach of Canada flag football.
This is kind of the slowest, summer, because there's no Olympics, there's no World Cup, there's no Euro. We did have the Gold Cup, which, if you're a fan of the Canadian men's soccer team, you're still bent out of shape about Jacob Schaffelberg's ridiculous red card and losing to Guatemala, whoever the hell we lost to in that game. But yeah, the massive events have not quite been. I mean, usually if you've got a World Cup, it's going to take over. Although it has got me more and more excited for next year's World Cup, which is going to be in Canada, the United States, and Mexico, and Canada will be a part of. But looking forward to flag football in the Olympics. I'm definitely going to have to do a little bit of digging on YouTube for some of this high-level flag football. Check out some of the International Bowl. Of course, former CFL quarterback Michael Connor from BC is now the quarterback for Lapo's team. So we will dive into what's up with the Bombers, but I'm definitely going to be asking Paul to tell us a little bit more about the other gig that he's got right now, getting Canada ready for the Olympic Games in a few years. Pretty wild, like just a new sport like that, Lapo. And we'll ask him how he got the gig. But realistically, now planning for 3 years to be a part of Team Canada at the Olympic Games, which for most athletes is the pinnacle of their entire sporting lives.
Yeah, you're hearing a lot of NFL guys interested in participating. We'll have to wait and see how this goes and how it looks. Football, they call it American football because in America, U.S. dominates. Not exactly the most global sport, but it's certainly been growing, and there are other countries that do participate. So I am looking forward to the flag football. We'll see how that captures our attention in a couple of years in L.A.
Keeping an eye on Camden Yards right now. 6th inning. Jay just got out a bit of a jam. 4-3 Orioles right now playing in the 6th. We'll keep you up to date on that one. Blue Jay fans, don't worry. It's not like you're just missing it. We got a 2 for tonight. You'll have a game tonight as well, which you can watch. But we'll see whether they can get this win right now and even the series at 1 heading into the nightcap tonight. But we are going to talk to Coach LaPolice coming up in just a minute. Before we do that, a big cheers to our friends at Rolly's Transfer for their great support of WST. Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba, family owned and operated for over 60 years. Check out their website at rollies.com for all the information on their services and their story. And in the top right corner, you can click on Request an Estimate. WSTers, put in the promo code WST. And our friends at Rollies will hook you up with a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. And then simply let them know when you're planning on moving, where the move is to, and what you will be moving. And they'll turn it around with a great quote quickly and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that Rollies has been famous for over 60 years here in Manitoba. For all your moving needs, make it Rollies. Find out more, request an estimate today over at rollies.com. All smiles over at our friends at St. Vital Dental Center. If it's time to hit the dentist or it's been a minute since you've been there, why don't you head down to their beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's and see our pal Dr. Terry and his wonderful staff waiting for you at St. Vital Dental Center. Of course, they've been doing it for generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans, and can do it for you as well and your family, taking care of customers from 6 months to 99 plus with everything you could possibly need, from a dental operation, from simple things like cleanings and checkups to more bigger procedures like, for instance, dental implants. They do it all. Find out more at stvitaldental.ca. You can make an appointment there as well. Tell Dr. Terry and the gang that the gang at WST sent you. And hey, listen, we may be stressing out about the Bombers right now. One thing I can tell you is that it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun to be at Princess Auto Stadium on Friday night. And I can't guarantee what happens with the outcome of the game. I can guarantee you that the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers Canadian Club will be well represented. Now, of course, it's August long weekend. Make sure you pop in to your local Manitoba liquor marts before the weekend and get your hands on the Canadian Club Club Pack with the CC and Ginger Ale, the half and half lemonade iced tea, and the new citrus smash. But for you Bomber fans, you're also going to want to make a point of checking out the Canadian Club display, because they do have a brand new limited edition Winnipeg Blue Bomber label Canadian Club for you Bomber fans while supplies last. The official spirit of the Bombers, Canadian Club special Bomber branded bottle, now in stores while they last at your local Manitoba liquor marts. And hey, I do want to give a shout out to our friends at Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge. They are still dealing with the effects of the fires in and around the area of that crazy Nopaming. But we're hoping that they'll be open very soon. And they do have some availabilities for later on in August and in September. If you're thinking about a world-class fly-in fishing opportunity where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens is the spot. And with everything going on, they got a special 10% discount for WST listeners. So hit them up at aikenslake.com. Let them know you're a WST listener. Find out about availability for the rest of the season. Hopefully we'll see you out at Aikens very soon as the fire leaves and things get back to normal at one of the jewels of our province. All right, Ken Wiebe coming up in a bit. We'll get Ken's takes and latest information on what is and what isn't happening between the Jets and Dylan Samberg. Right now, though, let's welcome in our good friend, Coach Paul LaPolice on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Lapo, great to talk to you again. How are you, my friend? Busy guy. Lots on your slate these days.
Yeah, lots on the road, whether it be studio or doing color and a little bit of flag football. So yeah, things are great though. It's a good time of year to watch football.
Listen, I want to dive into this flag football gig you got, but let's start off. There is a lot of angst in and around Winnipeg with the recent play to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Everything looked good at 3-0. And Lapo, I mean, you've watched this team in this league for a long time. We have not seen a month like this for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with 3 straight spankings. I mean, really dating back to Mike O'Shea's first year in the Canadian Football League. I'll simply ask you, what the heck's going on with the Bombers?
Well, I think a couple of things is, let's remember 2 of their games they played Calgary, who, 2 of those lost against Calgary Stampeders, which look like to be the best team in the Canadian Football League that have a veteran quarterback. One game, Zach Collaros didn't play. And, last week, the Toronto Argonauts seemed to have their number. But the biggest thing that's happening, Zach came back but I believe I'm looking right here. I mean, they had 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and 3 on downs. I think some of the downs were later in the game, but they're -6 in turnover margin. But even if they just have 4 turnovers with the 2 fumbles and the 2 interceptions, it's hard to win football games. I don't care who you're playing. So I'm sure Mike O'Shea's telling them, let's do the things that win football games, right? And that's not turning the football over. It's making sure we prevent explosive plays, play good defense, be physical. And that's just, where they're struggling at. Last year, the same thing happened early on. They lost some games early on because they were in close football games and they turned the ball over 1 or 2 times. And the other teams made them to capitalize. So, yeah, I think it's, the world's not dropping because they did play Calgary back-to-back and they did not play very good versus Toronto. They just got to rectify it. I said on the air the other night, I'm like, you know what? If they sometimes in home on homes, right? Toronto had the home game, the home team wins, and then all of a sudden you go the same teams play each other. Now go to Winnipeg, and all of a sudden Winnipeg has a big win. That happens a lot in our league. Now, if Toronto wins again back to back, then it's like, whoa, what's going on here?
We were hoping for that scenario with the rematch with the Stampeders a couple of weeks ago, and unfortunately, it was more of the same. Listen, from a coaching perspective, and I like the fact you brought up the start of last year because I've sort of been leaning on that the last couple of weeks or last couple of days on the program, which is part of the reason why my concern level is so high. Last year, the Bombers started off 0-4. There was a 2-point loss, a 4-point loss, and a weird game with that late weather delay against Ottawa, and then an overtime game against Calgary. First game of the season, they didn't play very well against Montreal. But, I mean, these games were razor thin. And it almost was like, listen, the Bombers have won every close game, it seems, for 5 years. It was going to come back the other way. The Bombers have gotten their asses kicked 3 games in a row. I mean, there is so much more, and it's so far away from the standard. There's been bad penalties. The turnovers are bad. The defense is getting torched, and the offense is having a tough time moving the football and staying on the field. How different is it to try to turn things around when so many elements of your game are off as opposed to being right there and, losing really tight, close games?
I don't think... You don't feel much better on close losses than blowout losses. Is there more work to do to get you back to where you need to be to win?
I
don't know if I would call it more work. You need better execution, right? It's really like, all right, what are we doing wrong? The players will listen to the coaches. The coach will tell them, here's what we got to do better on defense. Here's what we do better on offense. And, it's not like Osh and those guys don't know what that formula looks like. They just got to go out and play it. And that's the thing that has been hard is they've kind of struggled. Brady's trying to get in his rhythm. 82 yards last week on 13 carries. It's hard sometimes when you're behind to be able to, and that's what is interesting because in some of these losses, they've been behind a little bit, and that's not how they like to play. They like to, do Brady ball and run the football and make their plays. But they do have to get better at creating some explosive plays offensively. Defensively, they're not stopping people like they did last year as the season went on. So I don't know, maybe people have kind of researched them a little bit more and seeing what they need to do. But I think it's more of a Bomber thing than anything. They got to go out and play how they win football games, protecting the football, running the football, being physical, not giving up explosives on defense is kind of what they did last year.
Well, they're certainly getting a familiar opponent right back at it against the Argos on Friday night. And a big game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers after a really rough 3 straight after that 3-0 start. Hey, I do have to ask you about that game on Sunday night. I mean, you've been around this league for a long time. You're part of the panel on Sunday. What an absolute classic. And the funny thing is, this was far from a defensive masterpiece, and BC sort of blew it at the end. But I still can't stop thinking about that interception by Carter Jr. I mean, one of the greatest plays I've ever seen.
We were looking at it, and like everybody, what happens in the panel, like you're sitting there in a big room, you got a couple monitors and you're watching a game, and it was like the whole place started screaming, right? From camera guys to everybody, look at that, oh my God. And it's spectacular, and hats off to our TSN people for actually finding the catch he made against Robert Morris, putting that on the broadcast. But yeah, you will never, that might be the best catch I've ever seen. Offense, defense, doesn't matter. Certainly the best defensive interception I've ever seen. So fun to watch and good football. When you got a Hall of Fame quarterback and one of the best young quarterbacks, you expect points to be made. Hats off to Bo. Bo's difficult at the end of the game. And, for BC, they just, they kept giving them some of those zones, whether they should have gone into some more man coverage or whatever, but it's hard to go against, because then you don't want, let's go man coverage, make it harder. And then all of a sudden Kenny Lawler's in one-on-one. So difficult task to go against Bo at the end of the game.
Yeah, the Ticats have been a real great story this year. They had that brutal start last year that they just couldn't dig themselves out of. They start 0-2, and I mean, right now we're looking at like vintage Bo Levi Mitchell, and I wasn't sure that was there a couple years ago. You add in a guy like Kenny Lawler, who seems to be able to catch anything no matter who's on him. This Ticats team has made a statement. I think they're going to be a very, very tough out in the East for the likes of Montreal if teams want to get to the Grey Cup.
Well, I think one of the best things they've done this year, it's kind of interesting. The teams that have flipped, and that's 1, Calgary, 2, Hamilton, have made the greatest strides in turnover margin. And that's like for me, that's always been the biggest recipe for winning football games besides the score. And Calgary, Hamilton, as going into that last weekend, was number 1 in the Canadian Football League in turnover margin, which is protecting the football and taking the football away. Calgary, all season long, believe they lead the CFL in takeaways. And those two teams have flipped their scripts. They're getting great quarterback play too, and that's why you've seen these guys kind of blow some people out. But that's a good recipe for success. And certainly both Vernon and Bo are, top quarterbacks in our league.
Coach Paul LaPolice with us here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. All right, Lapo, as you are a man of many hats, I'm going to get you to put that CFL and TSN hat down and put your Team Canada hat on as the head coach of Canada's flag football team. Tell us about the job. How's it going?
It's going great. I'll have meetings with the players tomorrow night. We're kind of weekly having meetings and reviewing game film of our previous our international bowl. So we went to LA last month, played what's called a friendly. We played 4 teams: Australia, Japan, the US, and Canada were in this friendly. And that was my first foray into a game. I was kind of nervous, pretty terrified. And we have some good players. So we have really good, I think, a roster. Michael O'Connor's our quarterback, former CFL quarterback. And we were able to beat, in our first game, we were able to beat the United States, who hadn't lost a game in 8 years. It kind of shocked the flag football world that Canada, who was, I think we were ranked 12th in the world, we upset the number 1 team in the world. And then we were able to beat Japan twice and Australia. So we went 4-0 in the tournament. A lot of film for us to watch, learn from, especially for me, and try to learn this game and try to learn more about it. And so we'll go to training camp at the end, in the middle of September. We'll have our training camp, and after that training camp, we go to Panama in the middle of the month for what's called the Americas tournament, where I believe we have to finish 5 out of 7 to continue on to Worlds. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. Just getting ready and preparing for the Worlds are next year. We believe they're in Dusseldorf. And we believe Olympic bids are going to be given out that next year. 3.
Yeah, and listen, for people that are unaware, not only is flag football growing at an incredible rate around North America, and I would suggest the world, it is also an Olympic sport. We know what Olympic qualification means to amateur sports. Think of what it's done for curling in and around the world. So, like, Lapo, how did you get the job? How was it on your radar? And, like, when you got it, as a guy that's been a tackle football guy, what was first to do for you to sort of tackle the job of being the leader of a team that is going out there in a brand new sport?
Yeah, it's interesting how it came about. So Kevin McDonald, who used to work for the league office, we've been friends for years. He just took over Football Canada probably a year ago. As the head of Football Canada. Knowing that it's an Olympic sport, they've allocated funds and money to, having for the first time, they're going to have basically a men's national, like a high performance elite team. And that is like, we picked who the best players were in the country and went from there. Well, part of that was hiring a head coach, a couple assistant coaches. So they had budgeted, own the podium, kind of budgeted funds for that. And then he asked me if I'd be on the selection committee. Hey, we're going to hire some guys in the flag. Would you be interested? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm coaching my son's 7-on-7 flag team. So after a couple of days, I thought about, well, how would I go to the Olympics? So I call him back and he's like, how do I become an assistant coach? He's like, well, you apply for the job. And I said, all right. So I took my name out of the hat and I applied. So we come to the interview process, and I really wasn't serious about it. I wasn't too serious about it. I said, maybe I could be an assistant. And then I talked to somebody from Football Saskatchewan, who's a friend of mine, who lives in that world of flag. And he says, oh, my God, you're the perfect candidate. I'm like, why? I don't know anything about 5-on-5 flag. And they said, no, you'll know the offense. You'll learn football. Football's easy for you. But eventually, like if they're going to run it like a pro sport, and if they want eventually maybe have some NFL guys and all that, like they're going to want to be coached by somebody with professional experience. So I said, oh, that made sense. So then I talked to TSN. They said, we're comfortable. Yeah, if you miss a weekend or two over the next 2 years. And then I was able to get the job. Osh was on the selection committee. So like he replaced me when I went off. I was in the interview. I saw Mike. And then the hardest part, Andrew, as you know, like jumping into something new, is I was watching everybody, Japan, US, Panama, all these teams running their systems. And you kind of like at one point, I'm like, I don't know this stuff. So I do know CFL football. So I shut my door for 3 straight days. And I kind of decided, knowing the 2-3 coverages that you'll see at that level, like what in my system in the CFL will attack these things. And that's what I tried to build. And then had some reps in May when we selected our team, was able to refine what we wanted to do, have a pretty good game plan for the last games. And Michael O'Connor was lights out. So we played well, and I'm learning the game more. And I think we did some things that other teams haven't kind of seen from a CFL standpoint.
You mentioned Michael O'Connor, who, of course, CFL fans are familiar with. Tell us about like where you're getting the rest of the players. And for a country as huge as Canada, how challenging is it finding the best players for flag?
So what basically Football Canada last year started out in January. Warren Craney, who works for Football Canada, started having we basically in every province we had a basically free agent tryout. So guys were evaluated and then they were given slots for who we thought were the top 36 guys. And so we flew 36 guys in, or 36 guys came into Montreal for a tryout. We narrowed it down to 12 players and 6 alternates. So we basically kind of have a roster of 18 right now. And yeah, Michael O'Connor, Travell Pinto had CFL experience. Anthony Auclair played in the NFL 7 years as a tight end. He actually didn't play in our games because he got hurt. A lot of guys played. We had guys from Laval, guys who were at Western. We have a decent amount of guys, and we have a couple of guys who just played flag football, never played college football. So it's pretty cool to see the different groups of guys, and they've got great stories, and they were great. And to beat the U.S. was an amazing feat.
Coach, obviously the level of physicality in flag football is very different than it is in regular football. What kind of athletes excel in flag? And when you're looking for players, I mean, what are the things that stand out that make guys worthy of, competing at that level?
So first and foremost, it's DBs and receivers. So you don't have linebackers. It's 5-on-5. So you have 4 DBs and a pass rusher. The pass rusher is a DB because of the roster size. It's a big, long DB who can go and play DB in an injury. On offense, you have 4 wideouts. One of those wideouts has to snap, and a quarterback. So it's a small roster. What do you want out of your defensive guys? You want coverage skills, but you also want guys with range. The field's very narrow. It's only 26 yards wide compared to 65 in the CFL. It's basically from the sideline to the hash is basically what the field is. CFL terms. And you want guys who have some length, and when the ball's in the air, they can knock it down. And you want guys who have some man-to-man coverage skills. Offensively, you want some people who can make people miss and can win in man coverage. And you got to have a quarterback. The quarterback has to really see pictures and throw it quickly, because even in zones, like the field's just so narrow. So you can throw the ball and guys can leave the guy they were covering and make a play on the ball. So you really have to anticipate throws.
Do you guys play both ways at all? The top players, or is it pretty specialized?
Not really. No, it's pretty specialized.
So what, I mean, now that you've kind of dove into this and you've been hitting the film and you've gotten out there, you played some games, what have you learned that you didn't know about flag football coming into the job?
Well, I guess two things I would say is the situational football I'm still learning. So, you get there's 8 plays, basically. You have 4 plays to get 20 yards and you get a first down when you cross the midline. And then you have your first and goal, basically. Well, what'll happen is on first down, if you catch a pass and get all the way close to that 25-yard line, and you drop the ball, because now you're, call it 2nd and 2, and that next completion, call it 10 yards, that puts you first and goal from the 15, instead of you get tackled at the 23-yard line. Now it's first and goal from the 23. So there's all these weird situational things you have to think about. And the time, how much time to run off the clock. Like, we beat the U.S. and I was like, do I have enough time to go victory offense? Like, I was totally unprepared for that, and had to rectify that the following day. So a lot of that. But then the biggest thing is probably there's multiple quarterbacks. The United States, Japan. So the quarterback can't scramble until he touches, somebody else hands him a ball. So just envision the quarterback takes it, he laterals to another guy, and that guy plays quarterback, and he can run or pass. But the quarterback, if he gets the snap from center, he's the first touch, he can only scramble around. He can't cross the line of scrimmage. So there's a lot of big system of multiple quarterback plays that I'm trying to learn and get up to speed with. But, if I don't get there this year, that's fine. We've got a good system, and our quarterbacks knows what to do with it.
How excited are you for the future of flag and what this team and the appearance in the upcoming Olympics might be able to do for the sport at a grassroots level that's already exploding?
Yeah, it's exploded obviously in Winnipeg, and my son actually played flag football in Winnipeg. My daughter here in Ottawa, she was a coach for the team here in Ottawa. So it's kind of neat to see how many people are involved in it. And what's really cool about it is how many women are involved. So seeing parents go to tournaments, I was in a tournament in Kingston, and everybody supporting their families and traveling with the team was really cool to see. Hopefully the more we do can keep growing the sport, because it's, it doesn't take a lot of people. It doesn't take a lot of money. You don't have to buy a ton of equipment, and it's a fun brand of football.
Lapo, I'm spending hours every night breaking down playbooks in College Football 26. So I don't know if there's a way I can get onto the staff, but got some great insight into some of these playbooks. I imagine 5-on-5 though, that's very different. Like, will it be at 7-and-7? Will it be bigger numbers when it comes to other events, or like when it comes to Olympics and these world championships? This is the standard.
Is the standard 5-on-5, and it's kind of weird. Like, my son's team played 7-on-7, and as a coach, I want to maybe talk to the conveners who set this league up in the spring and say, well, why are we playing 7-on-7 when it should be 5-on-5? And that's what everybody in the world plays. Not everybody, but that's what that's when, if a kid wants to go play eventually in the Olympics or something, you want to be playing 5-on-5. So hopefully we can start doing more of that 5-on-5 stuff.
I would imagine the genesis of that is just to get more kids on the field and playing.
Absolutely. And exactly what the community say, hey, we want 2 more kids touching the ball on offense and defense. So I understand that.
Hey, before we go, you got enough hours in the day for all this stuff? You're cranking out film, you're doing podcasting, you're doing TSN, and then of course you're the coach.
And I'm coaching my son's tackle team. So it's, this time of year is a little different. Once we get to September, the schedule gets a little more Friday, Saturdays. So right now it's, I jump onto a call in a little while preparing, because I'm calling the Edmonton. I call 1 game a week of color this year. So that's new, along with studios. So jumping on a call to do Edmonton. I think it's Edmonton Hamilton this week. And so I'll start prepping for that. And then I'm in studio Thursday. So it's a short week until September.
Well, listen, it is always great to have you on the program. It's been a fun CFL season so far, despite what has recently happened to our team here in the PEG. Should be a great week of action, but I'm really keen on seeing where you and the team goes in flag football, and can't wait to get a chance to see more of it as we get closer to the Olympics. So all the best, Lapo. Thanks for the time, and enjoy the call of Edmonton and the Ticats coming up this weekend on TSN.
Thanks, Andrew. Take care.
All right, good stuff with Coach Lapo. Wishing him well with the flag football gig. Gonna have to pay attention a little bit more to the growth of the sport and checking out Lapo's team. We'll follow them, and we'll keep you up to date on what they do in Panama in their next event. We are going to be getting back to the Jets Samberg situation. Ken Wiebe's going to join us in just a few minutes. No flag football on Friday at Princess Auto Stadium. It's the real thing, and it's a big one for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who, as we mentioned, did not practice today. Practice canceled, apparently due to the air quality, which will mean a lot of work tomorrow, with one day of practice, a walkthrough, and then the game on Friday night. Of course, Princess Auto Stadium is the home of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and Princess Auto is the place where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is waiting for you at Princess Auto. So pop by and see them on Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, out in Brandon, or shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Manitoba Battery's ready for the long weekend, folks. Are you? Need a battery for your camper, your boat, your ATV, or anything else that's going to be a source of some good times on the long weekend? Get down to Manitoba Battery. Drive past the big box stores that are charging you more money and don't have anywhere close to the customer service of Manitoba Battery, because Manitoba Battery is your local option with the best prices in town, period, saving you up to $60 a battery. They've also will take care of you because we know you're busy. They do have 2 locations to serve you, Logan Avenue and Dovercourt Drive. But Manitoba Battery will deliver those batteries to you for free anywhere in the city with any purchase over $60. It's just that easy. So wake up, Winnipeg. Stop overpaying for batteries. Save big money at Manitoba Battery. See them in store or shop online today at manitobabattery.com. And listen, it is wedding season, folks. I know many of you, hopefully not a wedding on August long weekend. I mean, that does cramp the style a little bit, but hey, if you've got weddings coming up and you're looking into your closet and realize you need to up your menswear game, F Apparel is that spot. 190 Smith Street downtown. Custom suits starting at $400. Chinos, golf pants, custom shirts, both tucked and untucked styles, and an incredible selection of menswear accessories. If you, by the way, are getting married or in a wedding party, make sure to talk to the fellas at F about a great discount for the wedding party when you get your suits for the big day at F Apparel. It's all waiting for you in their beautiful new showroom at 190 Smith Street downtown, or check them out online and make an appointment to come in for a fitting online at that's EPH apparel.com. All right, we continue to wait for a conclusion to the Samberg standoff. Maybe that's what we'll call it, Reem. The Samberg standoff going up until tomorrow. Let's see if we can make some sense of it with Ken Wiebe, who had a rare opinion piece today in the pages of the Winnipeg Free Press, and you'll never guess what he was opining on. The Samberg standoff. Let's welcome in Wiebe to the program. Kenny, what's good, buddy? How are you?
Good afternoon, Andrew. Great to be with you. I'm rarely short on opinions. So nice to be able to weigh in when we can here. So yeah, beautiful day. Happy to report after writing the standoff piece, was able to get over to Breezy Huss, and I'm here to report. As you know, the rough is growing nicely. Growing in nicely. Course looking very good, and happy to report season low of 79 yesterday. And yes, finally. I know we talked about it last week, so tremendous day out on the course. And
who had the pleasure of your company while playing?
It was a fun group here. Had Hall of Famer Garth Collings. He happened to pour in 5 birdies in the day yesterday. Very good. Dr. Mike McKay, Sandy Paterson, and Mark Olson. Some Breezy Bend legends.
I was just about to say.
One of these things is not like the other, Andrew. So it was a heck of a day out there.
Level. Just while we're talking about golf, before we dive into the Jets situation, it was brought to my attention that one Matthew Barzal had 2 holes, who had 2 holes in one last week, but not in the same round.
No,
did you send him a congratulations? Did you send him a congratulations note saying, "Hey, buddy, that's awesome. Maybe one day you'll do 2 in the same round, like I did." Signed, your friend Ken.
No humble brag flexes on that front, but the great connection with Matthew Barzal, Huss, is that a lot of folks in Manitoba in the hockey scene know this. He competed here. And the U16 like Western Canadian Championship, going head to head with Adam Brooks way back when he was a 15-year-old. So I remember having the chance to cover that event before the NHL came back. So always definitely kept an eye on Barzal, given the fact that I was able to see him play as a teenager. So yep, definitely kudos to him on the multiple aces. Impressive stuff.
All right, now as far as business goes, I guess we are. We can call it a standoff right now. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but right. I'll ask you this, because everyone thought that this one might be the easier one to get done at the Velarde deal. Velarde's been done for a while, and we're now 24 hours away. By the way, do we have a time on this arbitration?
I was waiting on that. I was trying to get to the bottom of that. I think it's in the morning, but I don't have a firm time yet. Huss, we'll keep working on it, and I'll pass it along.
All right. Well,
when we get it, but I'm still thinking it's still a hypothetical.
Well, exactly. But it is like there is a clear deadline. It is tomorrow, so they got to figure this out.
Yes, sir.
Have you gotten any information that this negotiation has gotten to a bad place? That it really is a standoff? That any info on where things are at right now? And I'm trying to talk people off the ledge here for the last 2 days, Ken. We've seen these things go right close to the things. So I don't see this as a sign that things have fallen off the rails. But if I hear someone say that things have fallen off the rails, then I'll be maybe a little bit more nervous that this isn't just part of doing business.
Yeah, Huss, to me, this still seems like negotiating 101. And I know that the wide gulf between the two numbers for the arbitration have set off a few alarm bells with folks among Jets Nation. But again, as we know, the usual is occurring here. Neither side really, offering much in terms of, breadcrumbs in terms of where things stand. But let's just put it this way. I don't think that the gap between what the longer term contract proposals look like is not 2.5 versus 6 million. For folks who are unaware, and I know you probably have set them straight already, Huss, this isn't a arbitrator chooses one or the other scenario. So of course the 2.5 seems incredibly low for the value that Dylan Samberg provided last season and will probably project to provide moving forward. Let's just put it this way. I don't think the Jets have offered Dylan Samberg 8 times 2.5. And so
I'm with you.
Let's I would say right now there's probably, still room to come together. I don't know how wide apart they are. If I had to put on if I'm looking into the crystal ball, I'm guessing the Jets would prefer it to be in the mid to high 5s, and Samberg's camp wants it to be Slavin-esque, 6.35 or whatever the number is. So I think there's still time to get, whether it's a happy medium or one side gets what they want, we'll see. But I don't think I'm not sure if it's a million apart or whatever the number is. I'm not sure if it's just under, but I don't think it's as wide a gulf as some people have, maybe been speculating or projecting. At the same time, I do think that there's a gap that needs to be closed in order for them to get to a longer term deal. And Huss, we've been talking about this for a lot of other players, and we thought maybe it would fit with Velarde. Maybe this is a scenario where Samberg does go with a 4 or 5 year deal instead of the 6, 7, or 8. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but to your earlier point about we thought it might be more difficult to assign a value to Velarde because of the injury history. It's even more difficult to assign a number for a non-heavy point producing defensive stalwart who's, an elite or on his way to becoming an elite shutdown defender and posted elite shutdown defender numbers in his first season in the top 4. So one number I saw out there was for Eric Chernak. Chernak, obviously a bigger guy, a little bit more physical, but he's making 5.2 on a long-term deal. And then obviously we know the Slavin comp is out there as well, but he is the absolute gold standard, just starting the 8-year deal and will be paid, 6.39 or something like that until he's 39 years old. Big difference in age gap, right? Samberg, you're buying his prime years. It'll depend on how many UFA years you're buying. But I still think this deal gets done somewhere in the range of, 5.75 to 6.15. That's kind of the range where I'm looking at. I won't be surprised if it's north of 6, but I also won't be surprised if it's just under 6, depending on the years. I mean, the more years you buy, the higher the AAV goes when you're given his age and where he's looking to project. But the other thing that a lot of people are looking at, and Connor posted this as well, Dylan Samberg isn't only a defensive guy. He had 20 points last year. 15 of them came at 5-on-5. And when you're looking at those numbers, now you're all of a sudden in Brock Faber and, Jake Sanderson territory. Obviously, I'm not comparing them as, straight up because they play different styles of game. But if you're the agent, you're saying, hey, these guys are getting paid like elite defenders. My guy's numbers are similar, and he missed 22 games last year. Now, the difference is those 2 other guys are power play guys as well that, pump their production that way. But and Samberg is obviously the, working on the human eraser type of mode here. But I still think this gets done. And Huss, of course, if it goes to arbitration, that is not a scenario people are interested in. If you're a Jets fan, if you're the Jets organization, don't want it to get there either. But if it happens to get there, it doesn't slam the door on a long-term extension. That can still be signed on January 1st, and there can be negotiations throughout. Now, the issue that you run there is that if you have someone telling you why you're not worth $6 million in one of those meetings, it's probably pretty uncomfortable, and you may not be in a rush to sign, prior to July 1st.
Ask Andrew Kopp how he felt coming out of that room afterwards.
For sure, right? So that's why I still think that cooler heads will prevail and this gets done. Like what we know right now, Andrew, Dylan Samberg had the second best season among defensemen last year, and the only guy who had a better one was 4th in the Norris Trophy voting. So, and the Jets, let's be quite candid here. They don't have a ton of top end depth on the left side, in terms of top 4 players beyond Morrissey and Samberg. So, of course, the player has additional leverage here. The Jets are familiar with what their depth chart looks like. I still think that they both find a way to find that, happy medium or sweet spot or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, to the point of what looms tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Listen, it is of my opinion, and I don't think you'll disagree, that having it get to arbitration, go through, and the end result of all of this being a 1-year deal is the worst case scenario for the Winnipeg Jets. Like, it could be the worst case scenario for Dylan Samberg because it does open up a whole lot of risk in the upcoming year before signing that long-term deal. But for the Winnipeg Jets, this is a player they put a lot into. They have drafted him. They've developed into the player that he is today. It is the blueprint of this team to compensate those players and keep them in Winnipeg for a long time. And I mean, we know that Kyle Connor is a huge to-do for Kevin Cheveldayoff, so that, there is some clarity throughout the season of how they're moving forward. I mean, Dylan Samberg, to me, is right there with Kyle Connor, and the potential for it not to be a long stay here in Winnipeg accelerates greatly if they don't figure it out before tomorrow.
Well, Huss, I mean, again, you have someone who wants to be here. So that's first and foremost. His partner is established a business here. So they're ingrained in the community. They want to be here. So those are the players the Jets have historically compensated, like what you mentioned. So I see Dylan Samberg growing into a foundational pillar piece for the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, no, he's never going to be a 50-point guy like Trouba was when he cashed in and cashed out, essentially. but he is a guy that you can build around. Now, I get it. He's had 1 year in the top 4. So, would there be some reservations in terms of paying a player long-term north of $6 million? I guess, but you're expecting him to get better and better during that time. Like, he's just basically starting to enter his prime, Huss, right? So I think that's why the Jets will be comfortable, raising the offer. But at the same time, as you mentioned, worst case scenario, I would even go a step further, Huss. That's, 1 year outcome is not great. Of course, because this is a guy that they want to have around here for a long time, which is, again, why I think that they'll get the job done here. We saw what happened. Again, this is not the fact, just one player and it didn't work out. But, I mean, when Dylan Samberg was out of the lineup, it's pretty evident that they missed him, right, Huss? They don't have a lot of guys playing that style. He is a shot blocking machine. His hockey sense, we always talk about hockey sense for forwards, Huss. This is, a super smart player. His ability to kill plays, with his feet and, strength and body positioning is exceptional. He's just getting better. And as you mentioned, we might have already seen this kind of progression a year earlier, were it not for that freak injury when him and Johnny Kovacevic were doing the drill and he kind of fell awkwardly and had lost a couple of months here of service time. So again, I don't see this being a difficult scenario, even though, yes, we know it's gone longer than the other 2 guys who filed. And we know that Samberg has filed previously and, settled before the hearing. So I still do think that is the ultimate outcome. But yeah, I mean, that would be a tough pill for, in what has been a pretty good summer on a lot of fronts for the Jets. I mean, not getting an extension longer than 1 year for Dylan Samberg, or a new deal longer than a year would not be something the Jets are looking forward to either.
Ken, Remis just fired me over to this. This is from Elliot on 32 Thoughts, and it's just talking about the change of agents.
Right.
This is just a quote. Dylan Samberg, for example, he's an RFA for this year and then a UFA. So they're going to want to sign him for as long as they can, said Freeman. This is again from January. I heard that he just changed agents. He's now being represented by a gentleman named Pete Ruddle who works at Wasserman. Whenever I hear that a player's changing their agent right before a contract negotiation, I'm like, oh no, that's not good. But even I heard in this particular case that it's nothing like that. It's not because he's unhappy. He's in a good place. Like, the one thing I keep coming back to is the fact that, this is a guy that is really bought in, very popular part of this team. I mean, there hasn't been any sort of inkling that he's looking to get out, which I guess begs the question, why isn't it done right now? But if the Jets are, I mean, and again, like, I would hope that they are locked in on long term, and I mean, they're going back and forth on what that AAV is going to look like. But I would say this, and I guess I would argue, and this is more from the Samberg side of things. Yeah. Like, if you told me that it was a long-term deal worth $6 million, I would take that in a second. I would argue that even though we saw what the ask and what the offer was, I mean, you need to take that into consideration that we're talking about an RFA year. This is not a UFA year, that 1 year of arbitration. But I would also argue that Dylan Samberg provided $6 million of value to the Winnipeg Jets in a cap system last season.
Yeah, I mean, his value is, undeniable, and we know this. And we know that regular season playoffs can sometimes be different, but Dylan Samberg was being leaned on even more heavily in the playoffs. Huss. I think he was first among defensemen, even in terms of 5-on-5 minutes, and those guys were asked to play some of the shutdown. I mean, I'm just saying there was a division of labor where both the Morrissey pairing with DeMello and the Samberg and Pionk pairing sort of both took on, playing against the other team's top line. So we know that is an important part of his game. His puck moving has, improved. His skating ability has allowed him to get up in the rush more. As mentioned, most of his points have come at 5-on-5 or even strength. I think he did have one power play goal in one of those kind of mop-up situations, but the majority of those points are coming there. The shot share was, very high for him in terms of when he was on the ice against the opponent. Chances against are excellent in terms of underlying numbers. And Huss, the other part of this equation too, the Jets committed 7 more years to Neil Pionk. There is no question that Neil Pionk's best partner so far has been Dylan Samberg. Pionk's numbers were not as good when Samberg was out of the lineup as well. So it sort of has a, trickle down effect on the entire lineup. So again, I think that we obviously know the Jets value his what he brings to the table. So again, I think this is just sort of part of negotiations, and when negotiations get tense, it's not often ideal. We know this just happened with Cole Perfetti too, leading into last season, right? So I don't see this being a long-term issue. I think it gets sorted out with relative ease is maybe a stretch, but I think that both sides are going to be happy with whatever the number gets to, provided it doesn't start with a 1-year term.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, the 1-year term is the thing that I think everyone is, I can't imagine there'd be a number that would come out on a long-term deal that people would react negatively to
Right.
for Dylan Samberg, considering the sort of range that we're talking about.
For sure.
And listen, I'll say this. I mean, the Jets have been very shrewd negotiators in the past. Larry Simmons is one of the best in the business when working on these contracts. And often we do see this stuff come closer to the deadline. And listen, if they're able to get a better deal, no one's going to fault them for it. But I'm sort of with you. I mean, if that's where they're at, they're on one side of $6 million and on the other, depending on what we're talking about the years, I have a feeling that maybe more so in this case than others, the team that would be willing to somewhat go the extra mile to make sure they have a well-compensated, happy player that's going to be part of this team's future for the long term.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, I can't see a scenario where this doesn't end up working out for both sides. Just based on what we know, as you said, the buy-in from the player is obvious. The Jets essentially were comfortable allowing Brendan Dillon to walk because they knew that they had Dylan Samberg who needed more responsibility, and they're not going to want that to be over after 2 years. Now, again, you're not starting from scratch, but that's certainly not, they'd have all 4 guys locked up. I mean, yes, Morrissey's deal is getting closer to the end, but they'd have all 4 guys locked up for the long term. And again, for the prospect lovers, when I said there's not a ton of guys beyond Morrissey and Samberg, it's not that I mean there aren't any. I mean there aren't many guys who play the style of Dylan Samberg on the left-hand side. Sasha Boumediene, obviously coming along in the next couple of years here. Alphonse Frey is advancing, all of those things, but they don't have a guy who plays that sort of style in that frame. Again, some people wish he'd be a little bit more physical, but this is a guy who has been physical all the way up in his career. I think that element will continue to grow for him. Not saying he's going to be, the Jacob Trouba heat-seeking missile type of guy, but he's a guy he has delivered many open ice hits in the past. Ask Tim Stützle in that preseason game, Huss, right? I mean, that was another example of that. So, yeah, I mean, we know this is sort of the last pillar of the current season contract guys that Kevin Cheveldayoff and Larry Simmons are trying to get done. And again, I expect it will get done at some point here in the, whether it's later today or tomorrow morning before they step into that room. I mean, we'll see how long the staring contest lasts here, Huss, but I do think that it's still going to be happening before they set foot in that hearing.
Ken, I am of the opinion that as important as Samberg has been for the Jets and everything that they've delivered, that I think there's another level for him. With more experience and, just more playing time, maybe get into some different situations. What do you see as the ceiling for Dylan Samberg? I mean, playing through these next number of years, which really will be the prime of his NHL career.
Yeah, I mean, again, the gold standard is Slavin. So if he can get to that level, that's outstanding, right? So, and again, I'm not saying that he can't, but what I am saying he's going to have to stack multiple seasons because, I mean, even though lots of people noticed Jacob Slavin at the Four Nations faceoff, he's basically been providing this level of defense for the last 6 years, right, of that gold standard. So, yeah, I mean, to me, that's sort of would be the pathway because, again, Slavin plays hard, but he's not a big banger. Like Eric Chernak is a guy who makes your life absolutely miserable every time you get onto the ice against the Tampa Bay Lightning. But Samberg is, like I said, mobile, good puck mover, stiff defensively, very good hockey sense and smarts, good reads. And again, elite level shot blocker and shutdown defender who can give you, okay, well, if we're extrapolating, if you miss 22 games, maybe it's a consistent, 26 to 32 points. I mean, that would be plenty. We know that Scott Arniel wants his defenseman to be jumping up in the rush and be active. But again, he's not going to be a 60-point guy, but he might be a consistent 25-plus point guy. And again, if you're providing that elite level shutdown defense, this is a player that's going to be worth $6 million or whatever that number ends up being.
I mean, we've seen it again. It was a career high 20 points last year. We're not talking about,
No, but he missed 22
numbers.
games, though.
I was just about to say he did it in 60 games. So, I mean, you extrapolate that out, you're, 27, 28 points, which, to be honest, I was surprised Brock Faber had as low. I mean, he did have 10 goals, but he was under 30 points last year. Slavin, his best seasons have sort of been in that mid-30s. Like, I do wonder, with an 82-game season, playing the amount that he plays, with the improved confidence that I think he's gained, becoming a regular top four, I do wonder whether we'll be talking about a Samberg in a couple years that might be closer to a 40-point season than a 20-point season.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And like I said, because and again, the one thing I haven't mentioned yet, he's got a sneaky shot from the point. So the only difference between those guys like Faber and Sanderson that you mentioned earlier that I also talked about, with Pionk here having the 7-year extension and Boumediene on the horizon, there's probably not going to be power play points available to him. So that'll make it tougher to get to 40. But again, I think he's a consistent mid-20s guy that could be mid-30s because of his mobility and ability to activate and knowing when to take the calculated risk. I'm going to use. I'm not going to say risk because he's not a risky player. So I do think that he could be a consistent 30-point guy. And again, his biggest value is always going to come on the defensive side of the puck. But this is not a guy who has trouble handling it or getting involved offensively. So again, I think this is also a guy, if he's not in the Olympics this time around, he's going to be in the next Olympics when he's 30, 31 or whatever it is. I do think that he's very much on the radar for, we know he's a Hockey USA hockey guy. I think he could be in Italy this year, but if he's not there this year, I think he's definitely there the next time around.
Wiebe, what do we know, or what can you tell us and our listeners about the actual arbitration process and the hearing? Is it an in-person thing?
Yeah, it's going to be in Toronto. I think it's scheduled. I mean, I've never been at one, and I've, outside of, reporting on the COP one, and that's, just basically listening to both sides. I don't know the meat and potatoes of what goes on in that room, but all I do know is that, also with the stuff that came out around with Jeremy Swayman, it can be an uncomfortable, situation.
Oh, just mean, do we need a flight tracker? I mean, do we need to know whether these guys are getting on the plane to Toronto? Do we have, listen, I don't want to take your role as the big J here, but can we do any more detective work to find out whether this is actually going to be happening, or in today's age, do they just do things via Zoom? Like, I wasn't really sure.
No,
do we
I
know
think
anything
it's
about the
Toronto,
arbitration?
Yeah. It's Toronto. I don't know who's would be overseeing there's so few that actually go to arbitration. I don't even know that there has been one yet, Huss. So
no, I don't think so.
Right. So I think there had already been there had been 7 that have been settled out of the 11. There were 4 left, maybe. But
that's got to be a great gig, the NHL arbitrator, where you have to do all this stuff. You have to
on retainer
set up, and then you never really get called into the office, and that better not happen tomorrow.
Right. So again, I think I'm not 100% sure if Samberg is already on route, or it's tougher to get there from Hermantown than it is from Duluth than it is from Winnipeg. So I'm guessing the flights are scheduled on both sides, and whether that's tonight or I think that both sides would have their case already ready to be presented, I think. So, but yeah, now it's a matter of sort of getting down to the short strokes here and seeing if they can avoid it.
We need to have a good some ins at airports. Like, have we seen Dylan Samberg get on? But I don't know whether there's a big airport in Hermantown. I guess that's Duluth.
Duluth,
right?
I guess, would be the best. I don't know if he has to go to Minneapolis. I doubt it. But anyways, it's well, and again, some of these things just get done on the way in, right? Isn't that what happened with PK Subban? Isn't that like we're on the way into the room, and it's like, no, here it is.
Yeah, and listen, maybe that'll be the case. It's impossible to comment on it when we really don't know what the gap is, what people are what the holdup is. But if there's one thing that we do know, Ken, the Winnipeg Jets notoriously keeping things tight to the vest. And I will say that we haven't heard anything leak that this has gone off the rails at all.
Yeah,
so I think at a certain point, you have to just, assume that this will go the way so many of the other ones. And the big suspense about this is, what does this contract look like? Because it's still highly unlikely we get to the actual arbitration ruling.
Right. The clock is ticking, though. I think generally, just got a note that the generally start around 9 o'clock. So again, not specific to Samberg, but it is a morning endeavor. So, the countdown will be, urgency level on the countdown, I guess, maybe is enhancing.
Well, and it might be right now, because none of these guys want to get on the plane if this thing isn't happening.
Right, exactly.
Let's come back
I'd
to
rather
that.
avoid
Maybe we
the
are
flight.
really in crunch time.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, we know that Dylan Samberg enjoys golf as well. I don't think he's setting up a tee time at any of the great Ontario tracks. I think he'd prefer to be playing his home course in Hermantown. So,
this baseball game is a disaster for the Blue Jays right now. It was 4-3 when we started talking to Lapo.
Yeah.
It's now 14-4. Oh, we've got the old position player pitching. We got Sanchez in for the
good.
team.
Oh,
That
good.
is
The
not
catcher
Aaron
pitching.
Sanchez.
No. Ali, the catcher, who's already
How was your day at the ballpark?
Oh, Huss, tremendous. The Wednesday game was fantastic. As you know, it was filled with drama and tension, and Jays are up 4-2. Schneider pitches to Judge. Judge hits a 2-run homer. The place is deflated. Lots of people were on the old, what is he doing? People who tend to overreact. The guy who'd been the manager of the hottest team in baseball, this guy should be fired. He doesn't know what he's doing. And, the next inning, there's a high fly ball that Bellinger misplays in the lights, and Jay scored 2. Bo hits a 2-run homer to make it 8-4. Everybody goes home happy, all 42,000 and change. But happy to report the ballpark is looking fantastic. People are into it. Like it's got, again, it's obviously not 2015-16 Huss, but it has 2015-16 vibes to me. And I was at the bat flip game. I was there the next year when they won their only game in the ALCS. So I've got some experience in that building. And I watch them mostly nightly. And if I don't catch the game, I catch Jays in 30s. So, but I would also say too, Huss, to your point about the 14-4 beatdown here and losing yesterday, the vibes are too good. Don't mess things up with the trade crowd. It has not been a great start to the week for them. So it's been apparent that the Jays still need to add. That was the case.
What do you want them to add? You're a Jays guy. Listen, what's your wish list for Thursday?
Honestly, Huss, I still think, I know it's going to be at a heavy cost. I think that Suarez at third. You can move Ernie Clement to second. You can move him into some kind of platoon with Jimenez if he's healthy and ready to roll. You shouldn't be rolling out Leo Jimenez, great defensive player as he is, but you're hitting sub 100 here, Huss. You got to upgrade that position. And again, for folks who have been watching today, Tyler O'Neill, I think, would be a really good power bat. But the problem with the Jays is that because they need Springer in the DH spot a lot of the time, are you going to add an outfielder? I mean, that's the other thing that I'd be curious about here. Tyler O'Neill's a Canadian guy, hits for power. I mean, one of those two guys, one position player for sure, Huss, and then you got to have a couple of high, leverage arms that, throw in the, high 90s. The Jays just don't have enough elite level velocity coming out of the bullpen. In a perfect world, Mason Miller, I know he's probably not available as a controllable asset out of the A's. I'm not sure if we can call them Sacramento or...
No, they're just Athletics.
Yeah, just Athletics. So that would be the perfect addition. But now with the issues that Mr. Clase happens to be having, that may take him out of the mix.
He's out of the
for
mix.
The Jays and everybody else.
He's out of the mix for the Guardians and the rest of the major leagues until further notice.
Indeed, he may be out of the mix in territory that nobody wants to be found in. But anyways, leverage arms probably. I know some people are still a little bit skeptical on Scherzer, but Huss, I mean, yes, it's a big mistake that he made the other night, but you can't ignore the 11 strikeouts. This guy's 41 years old and absolutely dealing. He's a bulldog, but Huss, this is why winning the division is so important for the Jays, and having a higher record, because if you're in a best of 3 instead of a best of 5, that one mistake that Scherzer has been making in his last 2 starts, you might be out of the playoffs before they even begin. And again, Bassett roughed up yesterday. Big deal. He pitched great against the Yankees, and I was there for it. So I don't think that starting pitching is as big a concern, but every team needs a little bit of insulation and insurance. So definitely one bad Huss for sure. And I think there's got to be 2 leverage arms. And, if they do something else, if there's a Mitch Keller or, some deal for a starter that has some, team control years, sure. But again, the Jays cannot win this World Series as currently constituted, as well as they're playing as much of a magic carpet ride as they've been on. They need to upgrade the roster if they want to win as many games as it will take to, get to the World Series and try to beat one of those powerhouse teams coming out of the NL.
All right, 2 other little bits of housekeeping before we leave. We've hit the important stuff. I promised that we would get a review from the Back to the Future musical. What?
Enjoy it. Really good. Well done. The lead playing the character Michael J. He looked like Michael J. Fox. It was fantastic. Doc was a great character, and it was very well done. Really enjoyed it. And Our Lady Peace outdoors, despite the hour and a half weather delay, they absolutely rocked it.
So where was that venue, and how was it like? Were you staying downtown?
Staying downtown. It was a 12-minute Uber, but it's like on the water, on Lakeshore. Fantastic venue. We were, we had covered seats, but they had, outdoor kind of, like at spring training games, they had a lawn area that was not covered. So Collective Soul finishes, and there's a big, like, the warning is going off, like, seek shelter. So it was, and Huss, much to the chagrin of many, they during that hour and change, they cut off sales of beverages. So there were some unhappy folks. They didn't want to be putting the either the patrons or the servers in harm's way. So
what was everyone supposed to do?
Just try to make some friends and some sing-alongs and whatever else. But the Amex Lounge was so full we didn't even get into it, Huss. So it was quite something. So anyways,
I
after the delay, very good, very good.
Like
very
at
good
golf
show.
tournaments, you'll be out there like, oh, everyone, please take shelter. Go to your cars. Well, I mean, tons of people don't have cars. Like,
right.
I was wondering, like, what the hell are you supposed to do for that amount of time?
Yeah, it was quite something. But yeah, awesome few days in Toronto. Stayed downtown. The city's buzzing. The humidity was a little high, so the 50 sunscreen was definitely being applied readily. So,
all right,
but yeah, it was great to be in town for sure.
Okay, last thing, we go back to Samberg on the way out.
Yeah,
I said that I thought that the Samberg deal was going to end up with an 8-year deal, basically the Morrissey deal, 8 years, 6.25. Crystal ball, Kenny. Tomorrow, it doesn't go to arbitration. There is an announcement. What is your prediction for the Dylan Samberg contract?
Yeah, I'm going to price is right you slightly, Huss. I'm going to go 7 times 6.15. But I do think it's north of 6, as long as it's a
7 or 8 year deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, it sounds good. I mean, listen, Slavin's 8 years is kicking in at just under 6.4.
Yeah. And he's 31 compared to 26. So again, also longer track record, yes, but you're paying him until he's 39 years old.
Listen, if it all makes sense, we just need to get it done. And hey, the good thing is about this massacre right now on the television, they got another one tonight. So let's go for a split for the Blue Jays and let's see what happens at the deadline. Wiebe, good stuff. Where's the next stop on the Manitoba Golf Tour?
Getting back to Falcon on Thursday here, so I got my Clear Lake crew coming up to play Falcon. They haven't played it for 2 years, so should be a
When's
lot
the
of
Tamarack?
Tamarack is the middle of August here, so 16th I think it starts. So Huss, the game is trending. It's the first time since my handicap is down to 10.7 now, so shaved about 2 strokes during the year, and the goal we talked about it last week. The push towards single digits is still very much on, and happy to be making a little bit of progress here, and also too happy to report the folks who like playing the rural tracks as well once in a while. Played Minnewasta Sunday. It's also in fabulous shape. Green's rolling incredibly well, and they got they're starting the rebuild of the clubhouse after the terrible scenario there with the fire. The second fire is back. The foundation is set. They got to do a little. They got to get her closed in, but coming along. Looks like there's some nice progress being made there as well. So
that's what we'd like to hear. Have you played Granite or Pinawa this year?
Granite is coming up next week. I think the tour is spinning up there. I have not played Pinawa yet, but Trevor Curl, who was on after me last week, got up and he got 9 holes in last week before the deluge came down. So I came away pretty impressed as well. So yeah, I mean, we're so lucky with so many tracks around the province that are just in fabulous shape here.
Totally. Well, we'll look forward to getting out on the course hopefully very soon. You have a good one. Have a great long weekend, and I hope you have a fun day tomorrow writing about an 8-year deal for 6.25 as first reported by your friend Hustler, which was not a report, just a freaking guess on WST.
Always great to be with you. Have a great week ahead here, and I might see you Friday. I'll be going to the old stadium for the first time for football this year. We were there for Def Leppard, but going to be at the game, seeing if the blue and gold can get things rolling as well. We'll see what happens here on Friday. Should be a perfect night to be at the old ball yard as well. Nice.
All right, thanks, Kenny. Good stuff as always.
Take care, my man.
Keep hitting them straight. There's Ken, the 79 today of Ken Wiebe. Big milestone moment on the Manitoba Golf Tour this year. I see T. Will. Kenny playing Granite next weekend. So am I. See you there. My plans are still up in the air for this weekend. But there is a chance, T. Will, I might see you there as well. We're planning, our backup plan is a Pinawa Granite doubleheader on the August long weekend. So we'll see how that goes. Great stuff with Ken. And of course, Ken mentioned going to the Bomber game on Friday. Many of you will be going there, and many of you might be saying, you know what, I really should go all in, and maybe I need a new jersey or a hat or a shirt or something to wear repping the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Well, if you are in that predicament, might I suggest you head down to Royal Sports, the ultimate sports superstore in Winnipeg. For over 50 years, you'll find a ton of Blue Bomber gear, including some really cool stuff that you won't find anywhere else, some new era exclusives over at Royal, not to mention everything to get you ready for Jet season. Maybe you wait till tomorrow for the confirmation that Dylan Samberg is signing long-term with the Jets before you get a 54. You could go and get your 13, Gabe Vilardi right now. You could go get a 19, Jonathan Taves. Whatever you want in those jerseys, Royal's got you covered. Not to mention, as we get into August long weekend, soccer, softball, tennis, baseball, running, bikes, that massive Yeti section with literally everything for you campers or outdoor people. It's all at Royal Sports waiting for you. 750 Pembina Highway. Make sure to give them a follow as well on Insta at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merch drops and sale information. I'm glad I wasn't at Boston Pizza watching this massacre or last night, but tonight might be a great night to go for maybe a pierogi pizza, maybe a Royale, some world-famous BP wings, a couple of ice-cold schooners, and, of course, the new BP summer menu with the Blue Jays and Orioles on the big screen. CFL gets going on Thursday. No better place to watch all the CFL games than your local BP, and, of course, NFL season just around the corner. Staying at home? Can always get the great taste of Boston Pizza by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, I'm hoping that we'll have John Horn on with us. I want to talk a little tennis. I don't know if you caught last night, which was thought to be sort of a farewell match for Jeannie Bouchard in her final pro tournament in her hometown of Montreal. She went out and beat the number 83rd player in the world for her first win on Canadian soil since 2016. Didn't go so well for Leylah Fernandez, who we were all lauding her after an incredible victory on the weekend, her first win in 2 years. And, a first win in 2 years, unfortunately didn't go well for Leylah. She lost in straight sets. So Jeannie will be the focus of attention. Bianca Andreescu has a big game coming up as well. So hopefully we'll get to that coming up in a minute. Listen, while we were talking about this is a great time to do this for a Why Not question of the day. Why not question for not Autocorp, but Waverly and McGillivray. For you city folks, and many of you that are watching this show out in rural parts of the province, chime in as well. You'll have the best intel. Give me your favorite golf course outside of the city, like one that you'll drive a couple hours to. Favorite Manitoba golf courses. Ken mentioned, we are very spoiled right now with the amount of great tracks. And I would put Manitoba, golfing-wise, per capita, with our options up against just about anywhere. I can tell you it's, I think, a lot more affordable to play here. A lot of things, frankly, are more affordable than some of the other spots in and around the province. I think off the top of my head, I've always loved Granite Hills. Clear Lake is an absolute jewel. Oak Island, for my money, is the most unheralded great course in the province. Just not a lot of people know. It's about 50-odd minutes past Brandon on Highway 1. You got to take about 10 minutes off the highway south of it. And Dan Halderson was there for a while as the pro there, former PGA Tour player from Manitoba. Oak Island would be one, but I always love hearing from many of you. So let us know in the chat right now. We'll get into that right now with a little fan feedback brought to you by Fans First, with no added fees for your tickets, the number one spot for resale tickets in Winnipeg. And now, of course, they do have Winnipeg Blue Bomber tickets. So if the game sells out for a 9th straight time and you're stuck and you need a ticket, check out fansfirst.ca. And, of course, what you see on the site is what you will pay. No added fees. All right, what do we got here? Milner suggests Toulon. I have not played Toulon. Should put that on the list. Manny France says Buffalo Point. I have played Buffalo Point. I actually went out there, stayed there for a day, and I think we did 36 and 27 back-to-back days. Man, it was a lot of fun. Poopy Pants says Granite. Granite has always been at the top of my list, either at or right there. Just a beautiful course, and you know the way that it's built right on the water. Very unique layout that you don't see very many places in Manitoba. Mike Cochran, Winnipeg, number one, Clear Lake. Clear Lake, absolute classic. I have played Clear Lake this year. It was awesome. Derek Schmidt, Neepawa. Love the opening holes. I have not played Neepawa. That is somewhere where I would like to get to. Running Man throws out Elm Creek. Rob Mahoney says Windsor, because there's some great places to take jumps with the golf cart when no one's looking. I like Windsor because it's a very short course, which plays into my game. But again, we're talking about the outside of ones. Kevin Soldier, only been to my local one. So Treeherne or Manitou. What's up, Kevin, out in the Treeherne area? Cottonwood's pretty fun. Yeah, Mike Cochran, Oak Island, pure hidden gem. Absolutely. Wesley's given some love to Maplewood in St. Pierre. Who else do we have here? Lake of the Sandhills. Not heard about that one. And then Russ Lowen, the mini golf at Traverse Bay Corner. I'm hitting that one up. Hecla and Clear Lake. Hecla's another unbelievable spot. So anyways, keep your thoughts coming in if you've got any great golf course ideas. The one place that I hear often when we're talking about great golf courses in Manitoba, out in the west side, Gilbert Plains. Anybody played Gilbert Plains before? I think we were having this conversation a couple of years ago, and one of the guys from the courses said, "You got to come out here and check out our course. It stands up with all of them." So anyways, here in Scott Weston, Crescent Drive. First of all, Scott, Crescent Drive is in the city, and it is a pitch and putt. So let's not get too carried away with the city courses, and if it is, at least mix in a par 4 or 2. Mike Cochran, Lake of the Sandhills is the name of Buffalo Point. Okay, yeah, no, it is awesome. All right, listen, we're going to talk a little tennis. Our pal John Horn is going to join us. Lots going on in Canadian tennis. This is the week where the best men and the best women come to Toronto and Montreal. The women are in Toronto, and the men are in... Sorry, the women are in Montreal. That's where Jeannie Bouchard is from, and that's where she will finish her professional career. And the other tourney's in Toronto. Men are in Toronto right now. Just looking, I just pulled up the men's draw, or excuse me, the women's draw right now. Coco Gauff, the number 1 seed. We got a hell of a matchup coming up in her next match. Danielle Collins, who's had some big performances in Grand Slams. They're playing in the second round, Coco's first matchup of the event. Most of the seeded players are through. You've got Mira Andreeva taking on Bianca Andreescu. Kind of shows where Bianca is right now. She's not a seeded player. And I don't believe that. Let's just do a quick refresh if that matchup has happened yet. No, it doesn't look like that. And we're going to be hoping to... get John Horn on. We had him, and then he froze for a moment. So we will see. Remo, are you back there? Is your mic working, or how are we doing on that? Okay, excellent. Well, it's always a fun shot, but I think we do have John now. He froze him, but okay, perfect. We'll bring in John Horn. Again, we've got the Montreal side of things is with the women. The men are in Toronto. It is the biggest week for the tennis tour in Canada of the year. And of course, coming off of pretty amazing week for Canadian tennis, and that Leila Annie Fernandez got back into the win column in a big event. Always great to talk tennis with our pal John Horn, who joins us now fresh off of the pool. Busy times right now for John. What's going on? It's great to have you back on the show. How are you?
Yeah, it's been a while, guys. There must be something going on. It must be a quiet day, maybe. Maybe that's why I'm on.
No,
I'm not sure.
Not quiet at all. I mean, I was planning on doing this the last couple of weeks. Then we realized, okay, listen, we got all these tournaments coming up obviously with the focus of Canadians being on tennis. But of course, been a pretty big weekend coming off. Now, I guess we can do it in one. It didn't transfer into the Canadian tournament, but Leila Annie Fernandez back in the win column for the first time in a couple of years. Tell us a little bit about how significant this is for her, considering her last couple of years, despite the early exit north of the border.
Yeah, I mean, it was good for her to get that win. She'd had a pretty lousy year up until that point, hadn't fared well in the slams, hadn't been playing really good tennis, a lot of early round exits. So, to win the title, she beat some good players along the way. She beat Rybakina, she beat Jess Pegula, 2 pretty solid players, and then pretty solid straight sets final win. So nice for her to get her biggest tournament victory of her career, a 500 event. Her other titles have been in 250 events. So, definitely, a good way to, catapult herself into the rest of the summer. But then unfortunately, as is the case with tennis, is that you can win any day and you can lose any day. And as we saw today, Fernandez just didn't have her game today and lost in the first round in Montreal. And ironically, she lost to the same player that she defeated in the first round in Washington. So that kind of tells you something, that you can play one player a week ago and win, and then play the same player a week later and lose. So, unfortunate for her because, playing in Canada, I'm sure she wanted to fare better, but also a tough turnaround. You play that Washington final in the humidity on Sunday afternoon, and then you have to turn around and come to Montreal and then suddenly play on Tuesday afternoon. I thought she was going to get the late match on Tuesday evening, but she ended up getting the day match. So I thought maybe the night match would be a better turnaround for her. But just didn't have her game today. A lot of unforced errors, and Joint played well. She's a good up and coming player too, Australian. So she's not the type of player that you just sort of push aside. She's a pretty good player. She's had some good success this year, and just unfortunate the way it worked out. So that's tennis, man. Like that's the tough part, is that you're playing week to week, and it's one tournament after the next, and immediately she'll regroup, and then she's got Cincinnati starting in a few days, and that'll be the next tournament. Next thing you know, it's the U.S. Open, and next thing you know, it's the Asian Swing, and then there's Billie Jean King Cup and all that. So it carries on. So that's the tough part, is just, I guess, in some ways, turning around after you're winning a title and playing a first round of your of another tournament is tough. But it's just part of the business, and that's just.
Now, John, as far as, I kind of thought that we'd be talking about Layla going on this weekend, and yet it's Jeannie Bouchard that has moved on out of the first round. And listen, Jeannie Bouchard is probably more known as being a social media personality, an SI swimsuit model right now, than being a tennis player. But let's not forget how great she was at the height and of her career. And what a storybook way to finish it off. I mean, coming back, one more pro tournament in her hometown to sort of go out. She apparently wasn't done yet. What a massive win last night. And holy smokes, the crowd sure got into it.
Yeah, it was good for her. You obviously, when it's your final tournament, you want to go out in a positive way, win or lose. And I thought even if she lost in that first round match yesterday, if she went 3 sets and she put up a good fight, then that would be a good way to finish. She's hardly played any tennis whatsoever. She played 1 match earlier this year. She hasn't played hasn't had a main tour win since I think September, October of 2023. She's been focused on pickleball, so that's her thing. She signed a 3-year contract to play pickleball, and her tennis is just hasn't been there. So she is retiring from tennis, but really she, some people think that she's kind of retired from tennis already because she hasn't really played. But for her to be able to, play hardly any tennis and then go out and play in her home tournament, like literally her home tournament in Montreal, and to do it in front of a big crowd like that, a tournament that she has not fared well at in the past, and then to beat a top 100 player in Arango, who's not really a great hardcore player, but still a decent win. Can't take it away from her. Impressive. And, she was serving really well yesterday. First serve percentage was really high. She had some nice winners coming to the net. That win, I think, was a great way. If she does lose her next round, which I'm expecting she will, she's playing Belinda Bencic, who's a top 20 player, has been a top 10 player. Took some time off for maternity leave to have a child in his back, and has played really well. Got to the Wimbledon semis, I believe. I think she'll lose that match, but the fact that she did get 1 win. And if she plays well against Bencic, I think she can't ask for more than that, considering she's hardly played any tennis. And, when there weren't a lot of women's singles players around, she was the player that we watched. And as you mentioned, that great run in 2014, Wimbledon final, a couple other semis at the Slams. It was a good time at that time for women's tennis, for Canadian tennis. And, she kind of springboarded some of the other women's players right now. Even Victoria Mboko, the young 18-year-old, has said that, she grew up watching Jeannie Bouchard play at Wimbledon in 2014. So she's already left her mark on Canadian tennis. And I think that's good. So she'll go back to pickleball and doing her other things that she does. And I'm sure she'll be fine. She's making a lot of money. And I think this is just closing out the tennis chapter, which, some people kind of thought had closed out maybe a couple of years ago.
Forgive my naivety. I don't know a lot about pro pickleball. I just know that the sport's huge and it's growing. Is she like a great pickleball player? Is it more for the name? Is she a top player?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched a lot of pickleball myself. I know she's played quite regularly the last little bit. She's been playing doubles too, and some mixed doubles. I'm not sure exactly how good she is. I know she has had some wins. She's played a couple of exhibitions as well. An exhibition with Steffi Graf and Andre Agassi and John McEnroe at one point. Oh, wow. She was involved in there. So, I think it's, she's had a lot of injuries over her career. And as you hear from a lot of people who play tennis, who make the transition to pickleball just in general, just the UNI types, a lot of people say that, playing pickleball is way less toll on their body. And I think that if you're a player who's been injured a lot, and she has been injured a lot, the grind of playing tennis on different surfaces, it's different. Like you're covering more court than you are in pickleball, obviously. There's more strain on the body, more strain on the back and the knees and that sort of thing. And, there's a reason why you see a lot of people, over 60 just not playing tennis anymore, and they're playing pickleball because they're like, we still like tennis, but it's just not good for our bodies. And at some point in time, you got to say to yourself, well, I like playing sport, but what's best for my body? I want to be able to walk in 15, 20 years properly, and I don't want to have a bad back or surgeries and what have you. So a lot of people are going to pickleball, and some men's players have flipped over to pickleball too. Jack Sock, who won the doubles title with Vasek Pospisil, ironically, since he retired as well the other day, he's transitioned to pickleball as well. Steve Johnson retired from tennis. He's playing pickleball. Sam Querrey. So there's some other guys who play pickleball as well. And again, their careers may not be at the level that they once were, but at the same time, playing pickleball is a way to stay active, still make good money, and enjoy themselves out there.
John Horn's with us, getting ready for the big tennis tournaments in Toronto and Montreal this week. While we're on the women, got to ask you about Bianca. Bianca Andreescu, was sort of that next one after Jeannie Bouchard, had really heights early in her career, ton of injuries. I was surprised to see her playing Sunday night so early in the tourney. Fill us in on her years so far, and what's next for her going up against, I believe, Mira Andreeva, one of the top seeds in the tourney.
Well, I'll tell you what, that match was supposed to happen, but unfortunately it's not going to happen because she's pulled out of the match. So I don't know if you saw the Sunday match where she got injured. Very strange sequence. She got injured on match point in her match against Barbora Krejcikova, and she managed to win the next 2 points. I'm still dumbfounded by what Krejcikova was doing at the end there. She basically hit 2 serves out and basically handed Andreescu the match. She didn't even need to make Andreescu win. I think if she got 2 points there and managed to win that game, I don't think Andreescu would even have made it through the match. So very strange decision-making from Krejcikova. But but Andreescu, she played well in that match up until that point. And then, it's kind of been unfortunate for her. It's similar to the Jeannie Bouchard injury story, but almost to a greater degree, is that she's had these injuries just at the strangest, moments. I mean, it's match point. You're winning the match. You're playing really well. You're in your home tournament, and then you roll your ankle, turning to the left, and it's the same ankle that the same thing happened to her when she was in Miami a few years ago, where she turned her ankle and was screaming in pain and had to be wheelchaired off and she was in the 4th round in Miami, another 1,000 event. So, she's had some really tough injuries over the years. You could see it when she went down. You could see her saying, "I can't believe it. Are you kidding me?" It's just been a plethora of injuries for her back, her shoulder, her ankle. It's been really tough for her. And, I feel for her because, she's been battling to come back, and she's come back on numerous occasions, and she's had to start down low end of the rankings to get back, and, worked her way back into tournaments and played some good matches at times. And then another injury sidelines her again. She just can't get any momentum going. And she just won the Hopman Cup, a mixed doubles event with Felix Auger-Aliassime in Italy last week. So I was thinking, okay, this is good. Like, she won that. That was a nice win for them as a pair. Maybe she can parlay that into a nice summer. And here she is in Montreal, and she hurts her ankle. So it's tough, and I don't know what this will mean. We haven't had an injury update yet as to exactly the extent of the injury, but obviously it's bad enough where she can't play today. It's the same ankle where she tore a couple ligaments a few years ago in Miami, so that's not good. So I feel for her, and she's been one of these players who's been a really big mental health advocate, and I have to say, like, these injuries really have to be testing her mental health, because she's been fighting to come back, and she's battling back and training and doing everything right, and been great with the media, great with the fans. Her on-court presence has changed a little bit. She seemed to be having a lot of fun out there, not as stressed as she used to be. And then this kind of thing happened. So I feel bad for her. It's unfortunate. And, let's hope we get to see her back on the court soon, because she's done some things that other Canadian women have not done, and winning her home tournaments and winning the U.S. Open are two pretty big things. So she'll always be remembered for that. But let's just hope that she's able to get back to form and start playing high level tennis again.
John, of course, we're kind of been talking about the women. We got a great contingent of men's players taking to the court in TO. Just give us a quick little preview of the Canadians we should be watching. Chapo, Felix, other new names that we'll get a chance to show what they can do in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, well, the big three are Denis Shapovalov, who we all know, Felix Auger-Aliassime, playing in their home tournaments. Obviously big for Denis, being from the Ontario area. He just came off of a win in Los Cabos in Mexico. He won a 250 event there. I wouldn't say the strongest competition that he had to get through, but still a win is a win, a title is a title. So that was a nice way for him to get the summer going, and hopefully he can parlay that into some wins here in Ontario and also in Cincinnati into the U.S. Open. Gabriel Diallo, the young comer who's gotten himself into the top 50, top 30 now. He's a good young player, big hitter, tall, 6'6". Definitely keep an eye on him. He got to his first final this year, won his first title on the grass, and I think he can certainly play against some of the big players. He's got a really strong game, likes to come to the net, a big hitter, but he's tall and big serve. So that always helps. So watch out for them. Alexis Galarneau won his first tour level match ever yesterday in Toronto, which was big for him, and he did it against a pretty good player. So that was a nice win for him. Nicolas Arsenault, a young player, also Canadian, won his first match. You might be wondering, who is this guy? He actually has a twin brother who plays too, and he has a sister who plays. So they're all good young players, and him and his twin brother are going to go to Kentucky and play there. So nice for him to get his win at his home tournament. So yeah, I mean, Canadian tennis is in a good place. Liam Draxel, shouldn't forget about him too. He's another good young player who's getting himself into the. Yeah, he's trying to get himself into the top 100, and he's a good player too. And yeah, that's right. He won the Challenger event in Winnipeg, and I think that Canadian tennis is in a good spot again right now. I mean, it's not just you talk about Felix and Denis, but then you talk about Diallo, and then you talk about Draxel, and then you talk about Galarneau, and some of these guys are still very early stages trying to make their way up. But Diallo's definitely taken that step, and then we saw the end of Vasek Pospisil as well, who retired. So he sort of, handed the torch, so to speak, off to some of these younger players. And on the women's side, another great young player, Victoria Mboko, who I think could really be a force in the women's game. She's got all the tools, and I definitely think she could be a top 20, top 10 player for sure, maybe win a slam. She's confident out there. She's very poised. She's a good hitter, smart player. So I think that she's going to be a player to be reckoned with as well.
Is she still in the Montreal draw?
Yeah, she's still in there. I think she plays tonight, from what I remember. I'm trying to remember who she's playing, though. I don't have it in front of me, but she's, she's in the top 100 now. But I think she's playing tonight, because she would have played on Sunday, so she should be playing tonight. But again, good young player, and I really like her. I really like her style of game, and she's already picked up the hype train. She won some matches earlier this year and at the French Open as well. So the hype train has already started for her, and I think that she could do some good things in the sport.
Yeah, I've had a chance to watch her a couple times. Very exciting young player. She's got the 23 seed Sophia Kenin tonight, and
right, which I think that's a winnable match, because Kenin hasn't really had a great year, and she's one of those players who can play lights out. She just goes for a lot of shots, and then she can just play horribly. So she's also like one of the fastest players ever. If you're going to watch a match with Sophia Kenin, you're not going to have to invest too much time, because she goes right at it one point after the next when she's serving, at least.
And I'm actually looking, and Mboko is actually the favorite in this game, despite not being the seeded player, which is interesting. Hey, John, on the way out, tab a winner for the women's and the men's event. Who do you think is going to end up winning, grabbing the trophy in each one?
Who is going to win the trophy? And I got to remember all the players who were there, because there's so many players who aren't there. That's the problem. That's tough. I mean, when you look at the men's draw, I think Taylor Fritz has got a really good chance. lost in Washington in a really tough 3-setter to Davidovich Fokina. I think he's a good hardcore player. So he's the number 2 seed. His path is reasonable. So I could see Fritz. I'll go Fritz on the men's side. On the women's side, the obvious choice will be Coco Gauff. I think she's the player who really stands out the most. I'll go Gauff there. There's not to me when I look at the rest of the draw, who's in the draw. Emma Navarro is the number 2 seed. She doesn't really scare me that much. Andreeva is a good pick too. I think if she had a great start to the year, won Doha, won Indian Wells. She obviously gets the walkover over Andreescu today, so she's going to have has one less match that she will have had to play to get into the next round. So that sometimes is a good thing. Just playing less. I'll go Andreeva or Gauff will be one of those two will be the winner, and Fritz on the men's side.
I know Goff's playing that Danielle Collins tonight. Yeah, I was stunned to find out they've never played each other before.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's weird how it works in tournaments. Like sometimes players will, like we just talked about, Fernandez and Joint, they played last week in Washington and now they're playing again this week. And sometimes there was a stretch a few years ago. I'm trying to remember, Karolina Pliskova was playing somebody. I want to say it was Jess Pegula maybe. And they were playing each other like it seemed like every week. It was so weird. They played like 4 times and I think it was very one-sided, one with one of the players winning all 4 matches or something. I think Pliskova was on the bad side of that. But yeah, it's weird. Sometimes they play regularly. Sometimes, they've been on tour for years and they've never played each other. It's just how the draw goes. And, it's just the luck of the draw, so to speak. So that'll be a really good first round match tonight. There's a reason why that's on center court this evening, because that'll be a good one. I expect some hard hitting and some big power shots from both sides. I think Gauff wins, but I think it could be very competitive.
John, thanks so much for doing this. Always great to catch up. Been too long. We'll maybe chat around the U.S. Open, but enjoy what should be a busy week for you on the tennis beat here back in your home country.
Let's do it. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to the rest of the summer. This is the meaty part of the tennis schedule, so this is when people start getting interested. It helps too when the other sports are a little more quiet. Let's be honest, we've got baseball, and there's no basketball. NFL's not started yet, so it's a good time now for the tennis people to get some props at this time of year.
All eyes on Toronto and Montreal this week as the best in the world come to Canada for the ATP and WTA events. Have a great one, John. Thanks again.
You got it, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Give him a follow at Sports Horn. Our good friend John Horn talking tennis with us. Great slate of games tonight in both of those events. All right. Hey, shout out to our friends at Assiniboia Downs. They are back at it tonight, live racing. And don't forget, the Manitoba Derby is next Monday. We'll have Darren Dunn on a little later on this week to break it all down for us. But in the meantime, we will get to our picks in just a minute. Don't forget, CFL 110 coming up 8 minutes from now, live right here on WST. Story of the season for the Goldeyes. Another tough loss last night. 5-4 at home to Fargo, but they're right back at it tonight, looking for something to do. Head on down to the ballpark, grab yourself a dog, a cold one. No better summer activity than hanging out at beautiful Blue Cross Park, watching your Winnipeg Goldeyes. 982-BASE or goldeyes.com to get your tickets for tonight's game. They're at home as well tomorrow before heading back out on the road. And, of course, we kind of did our Breezy Bend Golf Report earlier, talking about our favorite rural courses, but I can certainly tell you that our home course here in the city is shaping up for the Manitoba Open. Still a couple teams available for that Pro-Am for the Manitoba Open, where you'll play with 2 pros, one on the front 9, one on the back 9, unlimited refreshments throughout the round, a meal before and a meal after. Everyone gets a free tailor-made Spider putter, valued at $500. Is going to be a great event. Go to manitobaopen.com for more information on the tournament and to grab one of those final remaining spots in the Pro-Am. All right, let's quickly get to the Coolbet lines tonight. There is not a lot going on other than, of course, the tennis, but the Major League Baseball is where we're focusing on. The Jays just got absolutely drummed in the first of this doubleheader against the Baltimore Orioles. they'll be leaning on Eric Lauer coming back tonight. Jays a minus 130 favorite in this one. Baltimore plus 110. A bunch of other games tonight. Yankees at home to the Rays. They lost last night. Tampa did Toronto a bit of a favor. Yankees minus 192 favorites. We've also got the Royals minus 135 home to the Braves. And the Dodgers Reds in Cincinnati, LA minus 154. Was looking at some of these WTA numbers. That Coco Gauff Daniel Collins match. Coco Gauff minus 345. Collins plus 280. And as we mentioned, the Canadian Victoria Mboko minus 147 favorite against Sophia Kenin. And I'll tell you what, if that goes the way the odds makers think, that'll be a very, very happy Canadian crowd watching that up. Jeannie plus 850 to win. The longest of long shots tonight against Belinda Bencic in what could be her final match as a professional tennis player. And of course, doing it on home court. CFL lines are up. We're going to get to all of this coming up in shortly when we dive into CFL 110. There's already been a little bit of line movement from originally. Calgary opened up as a 5-point favorite. They are now 4.5-point favorites. The Bombers were 6.5-point favorites. I'm seeing 6 now. Hamilton is a 4.5-point favorite in Edmonton. And what was a 3-point spread for Saskatchewan has now gone to 2.5. You can get that and the CFL futures all over at coolbet.com and use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. We'll have Jake join us a little later on in the week on our Coolbet lines. And again, don't forget, we'll hit and make our picks against the spread and tons of CFL talk coming up in just a couple minutes right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk on our YouTube channel. All right, Remo, before we are done, we got to get to some horse picks for tonight.
Yeah, I got my picks in. It hasn't been going too well for me lately, but let's try to get back on the horse with some winners here tonight. You want me to start here? I'm taking it easy, just picking some winners. I'm on
race 3, 5, 6, and 8.
I'm 2, 6, 7, and 8.
All right, what do you got on 2?
I'll start with race 2. Winner, race 2, horse 7 to win, Little Eddie.
Nicely done. I'm on race 3. I'm going $4 on number 2, Poderoso Ecuse to win.
Okay.
He's the AI smart pick, but he is second in the program selections.
I'm going with race. I got 2. I got 2, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm on 6 now.
Okay, here's race 5. I got a winner in 5 quickly. $4 on number 4 to win. That is the favorite, Brainiac. $4 on 4 to win in 5. All right, what do you got in race number 6? Big field in 6.
Yeah, that is a big field. I'm on race 6, horse 2 to win. She's a Rowski. She's a Rose. Is that Rowski? I don't know. That's the horse I'm going with there. It is second in the program in AI. Hoping for an upset here.
All right. I have actually a triactor box, and I've got number 2. She's a Rowski. I've got number 9. Forgot the Roses. I'm going to roll with number 10. Pioneers Tigers. So a 2, 9, 10. $1 triactor box.
Yeah, got my box here in race 7, 1, 5, 6. By request, Yellow Birdie and Unknown Callers. So the 2 favorites with a bit of a longer, not so long, but maybe you can pass the other one, Sneaky Situation. So
yeah, I'm doing a similar one in race number 8, $1 triactor box. We're going with number 4, Imperial Hornet, number 6, Meko Maki, and the favorite, number 8, Market King. So 4, 6, 8 in the 8th. That is our final pick. And again, you can take it all in person at Assiniboia Downs. Post time is 7:30 tonight. Otherwise, watch it on YouTube. You can always bet on ASD and tracks around the world with an HPI Bet account. Go to hpibet.com. Fun show, Reem. We got CFL 110 coming up now, but we hope tomorrow will be a celebratory day here in Winnipeg and on WST, talking about a nice, long, juicy contract for Samberg.
Man, what's going on here? Yes, hopefully we have some positive news. This is getting... We didn't think it would be here, based on those comments that you read from Elliot in January, saying, hey, change agents.
They're taking care of us. They're taking care of us. They're giving us some suspense. They're giving us a couple extra days to talk about it. And then hopefully about 12:58 tomorrow, the tweet will come out. Dylan Samberg has signed a long-term deal with the Jets. We'll find out tomorrow. You know where to find us, right here. 1 o'clock p.m. We'll be live with our Wednesday edition of WST. But stay tuned, everybody, because we are back. Myself, Jeff Hamilton, live right now. This week's edition of CFL 110. Thanks to John Horn, Wiebe, and Coach Lapo for joining us today. Thanks to all the sponsors that make the show happen and all of you for being with us. If you're with us on YouTube, don't go anywhere. A self-raid is now, and CFL 110 is next right here on WST.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.